Okay guys, I'm working on a 2002 Toyota Tacoma here, and got a problem with it shifting into gear, into first gear, and it just doesn't seem to have the throw that it should. This is a real common problem on these Toyotas. I've had several of the older ones that had the same problem, and what it ends up being typically, and I'm hoping on this one, is this seat right here. That green and black piece is the seat for the shifter, and then this white cap goes on the end of the shifter ball. And to get that out, you remove your 4 screws from your, if you have it, from your trim right here. Take that out, and then you take your, I take my shifter knob off. It unscrews to the left, take it off, and that way you can pull your shifter boots and everything off and just get them completely out of your way. Then you get her in neutral there, and take a pair of pliers. Because I'm a transmission guy, I actually have transmission snap ring pliers, and that pushes down and turns. It's a quarter turn. These go in and expand. You can do it with a regular pair of pliers. Push down and turn. It pops up and that releases that. Now with that done, you can just take and pull straight up on the shifter, and that'll come off. And while that isn't broke, see how heavily worn that is on that side? Alright. And that boot is completely disintegrated down in there. The seat is. Now, if you look down in there, see all that around the edge? That's actually the remnants of the old seat. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn the camera off. I'm going to go get a vacuum cleaner. It makes a big difference. And I'm going to pull that out, and we're going to replace that and see if that makes a difference. Alright guys, I'll check back in once I'm done. Alright, so here is the shifter out of the truck on the bench, and I've cleaned, wiped all that off because that was all covered in bits of broken plastic from the old seat. This is the new seat. Now when this is installed, that black side is like a O-ring, and that's got to go down, and then it'll seat into this. And you want to use some regular like wheel bearing grease on that. And this is the new shifter socket here, and you see just, if it'll focus, you can't really tell as well as you can in person, but that thing is really heavily worn. I've seen these be cracked, I've seen them be missing before, and it'll, when they're missing, you'll have a hard time shifting, period, if it'll even go into gear. But how this is installed is you take a little bit of lubrication. I'm at my transmission bench here, so this is a little bit of tranny fluid and STP mixed, and you lube up your new socket, and just take the shifter, press it down into it. Alright, I'll get back to you when I'm at the truck. Okay, so I actually wasn't able to get the vacuum down in there to clean it out because somebody borrowed it. But what I did is I took some, this is actually transmission assembly lube, but I took some heavy grease and I just put it on my finger, and I stuck it in there, and I would dab it around the edge of the hole and get the pieces to stick to it, and then wipe it off on a rag. And that's how I got all the little pieces out. And then I took and pulled the old rubber washer, because it won't disintegrate, the plastic will. I pulled the old rubber washer out. But what I'm going to do now, I'm not going to use the tranny assembly lube because that melts at too low a temperature. I'm going to use some regular wheel bearing grease, and I'm just going to apply a liberal dose of wheel bearing grease onto that socket just to lube it all up real good. I'm gonna hit this bushing right here, the new bushing. I'm gonna put some grease on it as well because it's submerged in the fluid. I don't know that that's necessary, but I'm gonna do it anyways. The O-ring seals this off, so that's why you need to make sure you lube it plenty. Something right on the shifter assembly, the shift shaft. Alright. Sorry. Horn blows. How about the driver? Alright, so let's put the shifter back in. See if I can do this without getting that grease everywhere with one hand. You got your 2 ears on the side of the shifter that's gonna line up. There we go. Down in. Alright. Use your pliers. Let me get this halfway started here if I can. There we go. Use your pliers. Spread them out. That's all there is to it, guys. Put your boots back on, your shifter boots back on, and hopefully that'll take care of my shifting problem. I can tell you it feels much tighter already. So we'll give that a shot and see what it does. Okay, well, in conclusion, I got everything all buttoned up on the shifter and took it out. And whereas first gear, the shifter would actually touch the parking brake over there when I put it into first gear. It would swing way over. Now first gear is right exactly where it should be. And that took care of my shifting problem. So the previous owner of this truck sold it thinking that the transmission was bad because he took it to a shop and the shop had quoted him $1,800 to fix it. Apparently they didn't know about the shifter bushing. There's first right there. Whereas, like I said before, the shifter would swing all the way over to the parking brake. And I think the problem wasn't so much the cap on the end being worn. I think the problem actually lied more in the seat being bad, because that let those 2 ears that keep the shifter locked in its place, it let those 2 ears drop down below. So you could feel the whole shifter would twist in your hand when you would go to put it into first instead of shifting it. And it would still go in about half the time. But now it's all fixed. It took me a total of probably 15-20 minutes doing it one-handed while holding the camera. So it isn't a hard job to do it all, but it's something that can make a huge difference. I don't know how long they drove it like that, but I just hope they didn't do a bunch of damage to the synchros, which it still engages beautifully, so I don't think they did. But I definitely plan on changing the gear lube in it now. I'm going to drive it for a day, and then tomorrow I'll change the gear lube in the transmission to some 75 weight. That way, any of those little particles that I didn't get out from the old seat and any debris from, because even I ground it trying, because you couldn't tell it was in gear or not. From the gears grinding, any of the debris from that will be settled out. We'll get it out of here. All right. Thanks for watching, guys.